Welcome back to Black Chat. I'm your host, Robbie J. And next to me, I have Hassan and Paul. And today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into whether or not the United States should disband the Department of Education. It's been a hot topic. Folks have asked us, Robbie J., why don't you all go into having a deep dive on some topics? And as I said, if you follow us on Instagram, then you know we were kind of looking at starting the podcast off to kind of understand each other, right? So we started off with the rise of social media. That's an easy episode to do. We all have our opinions on social media. And then on top of that, we went into questions you have for Black people and questions you have for white people. We needed to understand our flow. We needed to move forward as a podcast group. So we kind of know our dynamic a little bit. And those were set up episodes to kind of go deep dive into what we were going to do starting today. So what can you expect from Black Chat moving forward? Two things. One is we're going to have more in-depth content where we're going to go into these particular issues and kind of debate and go back and forth. The other thing is that we're going to start opening this up for interviews. If you would like to be included on the Black Chat podcast as an interviewee, then let's send us a message at info@blackchatpodcast.com. We'd be happy to set something up with you. We're going to be moving podcast spaces here in the next couple of weeks, or it may have already happened by the time you see this episode. But either way, we're moving in a general direction and would really appreciate your support. But again, if you'd like to be interviewed, please let us know. All right, so let's start off with the Department of Education. Now, one of the big things with the Trump administration has been to eliminate the Department of Education. Mm-hmm. So, Paul, I'd really like to get your thoughts, at least generally speaking, and we'll get into the deep dive in a minute. Overall, what is your opinion on disbanding the Department of Education? Yes, no, a little bit of both. What do you think?
I say no. I don't think that should be done. However, we'll get into it with a deep dive. It's been around for a long time, and it's been through plenty of iterations of people trying to get rid of it, downsize the whole 9 yards. But if it's based off of what it was created or established for as an executive branch, I don't think it needs to be get rid of at all because of what it's. Well, let me backtrack. If it's doing what they're supposed to do, no. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do, maybe.
That's fair. How about you, Hassan?
Well, I worked in the educational system in Jersey City for 17 years. I see the pros and the cons to it. The pros are that they put monies where it should go, in neighborhoods and in communities where it should go, but they also take money away from where it should go. So if there's, let's say, $1 billion that's supposed to go here,
right?
Somehow 200 million makes it. Yeah. Where's the rest?
We'll be talking about
we don't know.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna get into some stuff. We're gonna get into some stuff. And what you said, that's one of the things where I say, no, you shouldn't get rid of it because that's one of the things that you're supposed to be doing, education wise. Mm-hmm. But we'll get into it.
So, I mean, I went from a yes, we should disband the Department of Education to maybe, or a little bit of both. I think there's, generally speaking, there are cuts that I think could be made. But as an apparatus, I do think the Department of Education serves a value for the country. So I don't agree that it should be disbanded completely.
Okay. All right.
Get ready.
Oh, here we go. Want me to do the fun fact?
Fun fact.
The fun fact. How about let's run down the list, right?
Go ahead.
Number one, what a lot of people may not know, Department of Education was developed in 1867 by President Andrew Johnson. First Department of Education was demoted to the Office of Education in 1868. In 1979, President Jimmy Carter signed the legislation to establish the modern Department of Education. In 1980, we have the Department of Education as we have today.
Yep.
So that's a fun fact that a lot of people, but also there have been other presidents that wanted to disband the Department of Education. One being Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
but he changed his mind and didn't do so.
Yep.
So this is about to be an interesting conversation, to say the least.
Indeed. So my quick facts are the Department of Education's budget for 2024 was $268.4 billion.
Jesus.
That's quite a bit of money. Think of all the things that could fund that it doesn't. Anyway, 96%, according to the stats I read, and I don't believe this, but 96% of the funds go to schools. I think that's BS. I don't believe that for a minute. Based on what I've seen with our school system, no way.
No.
But okay, we'll take the general fact. Those are the facts. 98 or 96%, 4% goes for their overhead each year. And in the U.S. overall, in the entire world, is the highest education spender on earth. We spend between $13,000 and $17,000 per kid per year. That's outrageous.
That's insane.
It is.
So I kind of looked at this from my standpoint, which is F that department. I'm done with it. I don't care. Government waste needs to be cut immediately. Go in with my chainsaw. Not that that's an Elon thing, but that's a Robbie J thing. I know people panic. Elon, I can't believe you said that. But it's true. I looking at the numbers just on the face, $268 billion. What the hell?
There's no way.
For what?
There's no way.
Are we building schools made out of gold? What is going on?
That's a lie. It has to be, because like I said, I worked in Jersey City for 17 years, and they have 50-something schools there. Let me tell you, they feed the kids prison food, plus, no, I'm not over-exaggerating, plus some of those schools don't even have air conditioning. They do not have air conditioning. So where are these billions of dollars going?
So you don't think that it went to the Disability Kids Act for those kids with disabilities? You don't think that actually went through like the pre-K, the 12 for the kids that have such disabilities? So you don't think that money went towards the education?
No. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
So I'm wearing the shirt today. You can't see it because it's underneath my my hoodie, because this is my Robbie J Flair, and it's really hot. It's the middle of summer in Georgia, and I'm sweating my ass off in here. But it's my thing. So I can say as a father of a kid who has a disability, quote unquote, the money doesn't get there, because what the schools are doing, and this again. This isn't the facts. This is Robbie J's experience with this. Is that so? My son has epilepsy. For folks who don't know, that's considered a disability because what happens is when you have seizures, it affects your ability to cognitively recall information. So he will sit there at times. He'll have the information in his head. He just has trouble retrieving it. So that has put him on to several programs within. Now I can only speak to Georgia, mind you. We're talking about Georgia right now. So in Georgia, that puts you in a particular program called the IDP, and you could also get an IEP. But you have to qualify for those particular programs. So I can say that the support provided for my son was lackluster at best. And the reason that I can say that is because not only did they try and act like he didn't really have a problem, but the other thing is that what schools are trying to do to get more funding to reach these higher levels of echelon is that they're trying to push out the kids who are a problem and only focus on the kids who are cookie cutter. So I call this the cookie cutter kid problem, which is they only want to deal with the kids who come in who are perfectly normal and they do everything the same as everybody else and they eat their shitty lunches and stuff like that, and they just go through the steps. They don't have to mess with them. When my son came in, it was roadblock after roadblock trying to get him assistance and support. So my thing is, as you said, which is a good point, Paul, and that was one of mine, why I don't think it should be disbanded, is that it does provide that educational piece, that monetary piece to fund the IDP and IEP programs. That's important. I totally agree with you. We should be looking at that, especially for kids with autism, things like that. No problem here. But my thing is, when you're actually in the school system, where's that money? Because he didn't get it. I don't know. Where did it go? I have no idea. They didn't want to help him.
Yeah. And so,
go ahead.
And like, I agree. And so that's the other part that I bet the question is the why. Because just like I read that, they also supposed to provide funding to schools that's in rural and
that's right,
urban community, like those communities where there's underprivileged kids. So when we look at the school systems in a lot of cities, a lot of times, they have different ratings. And so, like in where we are, you have Richmond County, you got Columbia County. So Columbia County schools are said to be here. And so everybody wants to be in Columbia County because the education is supposed to be better. In Richmond County, the schools are at the bottom of the totem pole. They're not getting the same type of funding and resources that a lot of Columbia County has. And that's where a lot of the urban or rural or underprivileged kids go to. So that makes me question is like if the Department of Education is supposed to be that body that takes that funding, the $268 billion. Why is it? What's happening? What's the stopgap for where it is not being contributed to the schools that deserve, the schools that need it, as well as the programs that need it? Because disabilities is like that's a legit program.
Yes.
And so if it's $268 billion, where's all that money going to?
They have to be getting more money than Columbia County. Larger counties get more money than the smaller counties. That's a fact. I know that for a fact. They get more money. They have to give them more money because they have more schools. Richmond County is a lot bigger than Columbia County.
Charter schools, probably. I mean, like the charter school,
They're definitely getting it.
like the charter schools in Richmond County are they top tier.
Yeah, you know why they probably.